So on today's episode, I'm so excited that Mercedes Maidana is here. You guys, listen, you're going to be so inspired by her. She is an ex-pro big wave surfer. And she is just an amazing soul. I'm so happy to have you here, Mercedes. You want to say hi?
Yeah, thank you, Jackie. Hi, everybody that is listening. It's just a big honor to be here in your community, in your space. Thank you
Oh
for
my
having me.
gosh. Of course. And I'm so glad our paths have crossed. También that you're Latina, which I love. And you guys know that I'm Cuban Ecuadorian from my parents. And you are from where, Mercedes?
I'm from Argentina, Buenos Aires.
Yay. And so we're gonna do this whole thing in Spanish. We have to do another
Not
episode in
everybody.
Spanish for the Latinas here. I really want to talk to you about your story because it is incredible. Sometimes we are on a path where we want to pursue this dream. And I love how hearing your story and how you really deviated so tremendously. Can you speak about that?
Well, I mean, my story is long. I always say it's like a Forrest Gump movie. Let's pick a chapter and just talk about one area.
Yeah.
So I think we can talk about the time that I was doing big wave surfing as a professional surfer. I was living in Hawaii, and that was like my biggest dream. I was basically go back a little bit. I started surfing when I was 21. I was living in Buenos Aires in a big city, 4 hours from the ocean, so I didn't have any connection to the ocean or surfing. And at 21, I went through a big heartbreak. I was dating an older man, and he left me for a very famous actress. So I found out through magazines, like out of a soap opera. So I was
Wow.
devastated. Yeah, like looking at all the press, everything. He was also a famous musician, so it was everywhere. And I got out of the city. I couldn't be there anymore, and I went to Brazil just to be like a week at the beach. And there I just started surfing. Somebody gave me a surfboard and just to try it. Well, I got hooked. And to fast forward, I was 21 when I started, and by age 27, I became one of the best big wave surfers in the world. So big waves,
I
30
oh,
foot.
Okay, stop right there. I need to speak to this because I love this so much. Your heartbreak, which I think so many women in this community will resonate with that. They will connect with that. You're going, you put your heart on your sleeve, you invest your time and energy into someone, and they betray you. They lie to you. Like the way that you found out that he is now with someone else. He didn't even tell you. You just found
Mhm.
out through the magazines.
Yeah, he broke up actually with me the night before because I was like, "What's wrong here? Something's wrong." And he was like, "I don't want to be with you anymore." And like, "Is there another woman?" "No, it's just you. It's just you. You're crazy. You're too difficult." And he just
Oh my God, was
removed
he
everything.
gaslighting? Was he gaslighting you? That's what it
Yeah,
sounds like. How
yeah.
long were
And
you
to
guys
top it off,
together? Oh, sorry, go
to
ahead.
top it off, now that the funny, and I was so young. I was like 21, and he was much older. He was 42 or something. So it was just a power dynamic that it was off. But to top it off, he was like, "Nobody's ever gonna love you like I did ever." So I'm like, okay,
Mm.
so now I'm 21, and my whole love life was this. This was the peak, you know, like I have a curse.
Wow.
So yeah,
Wow.
whatever.
Did
Now I
you,
can laugh, but at the
but did a
time,
part,
I was devastated.
that's what I wanted to know at that time when he told you that. Because by the way, I've been told that from my ex-boyfriends too, that are controlling, that whatever, and they want to just dim your light. When he told you that you were never going to find anything else, did you believe him?
No, I actually told him, like, I actually literally felt like a column of light when that was happening. And I said, right now I see light all around me and you. And no, that's not my truth. I'm gonna love and I'm gonna be loved. This is not it. You
I
know,
love
I don't
that.
know. That was like a spiritual awareness I had in the moment.
I love that.
But
And I love that you were, I always say this, it's so important with, I have so many women in this community, I work with them that they're getting out of a toxic relationship. And that sounds very toxic, right? The way that
very,
you guys, and it's so important to follow what lights you up. And I love how you kind of were just open to receive what the universe was delivering. It seemed like you kind of just were guided to the ocean.
Yeah.
Like, am I
And
understanding that right?
yeah, but it wasn't that nice at the time. Like, oh, I'm receiving a gift. Yeah, I was full of anger,
Okay.
full of anger. I didn't know how to channel it. I was driving myself crazy. I mean, full of pain beneath the anger, but the bigger emotion was anger, despair. So when I remember when I paddled out into the waves for the first time, I felt a rush of energy and a release of that anger. I just felt like this is the space where I'm gonna be able to move it, and it was just without really thinking, but I felt it like this is how it's gonna come out. So it wasn't, now it's a gift 20 years later, like in a sense, like it's my place where I play. Surfing is my joy, but at the time it was almost a survival tool that came
Wow.
to save my life. And I went full on, pretty much I'm of an obsessive personality, I'm not gonna lie. So
Yeah,
I went
guilty.
full on.
Same here, guilty.
Let's
I
not
get
lie.
I love that though. And you know what? Let me tell you, because music is my outlet. And when I
Uh,
gone through the breakups and the heartbreak and my anger, I would write those angry like songs, my music, you know? And so I really get how that was an outlet for you. But let's like, I want to talk about how you were incredible with surfing. You killed it. That was like, how did that path go and how did it change drastically? I feel like it's something that I want you to speak about.
Yeah, so I'm gonna try to make it short. So yeah, I fell in love with surfing, and it took me a few years to figure out, okay, where can I live that I can surf every day, where good waves. I ended up in Hawaii after going around the world for a few years, like backpacking, waitressing, selling bikinis on the beach, whatever. I was just doing whatever to be able to surf in my early 20s, imagine. So I landed in Hawaii and I realized this is the spot, this is the mecca of surfing. It's almost like if you want to be an actor, you go to Hollywood, you know.
Yeah.
So it's the same for
Yeah.
surfing. And that's where, after living there for like 2 years, I started to have a pool to surf bigger waves because you see them there. There are certain spots where it breaks like 30 foot, 25, 35 foot. And I would see these big wave surfers like as if they were aliens or superhumans. And how do they do it? So I started to investigate how they did it. I actually started to, like, in a way, stalk, and read about all the ones that were the best. I would read all their interviews and figure out what they were talking about. Like, they would ask them, how do you train? What's your diet? What equipment do you use? And I would be like obsessively studying everything about them. And from there, I created my own game plan. Like, okay,
Awesome.
I'm gonna train 5 hours a day, these kind of trainings that I need to hold my breath, I need to be strong aside of surfing. I'm gonna eat in this way. Like after surfing, I gotta eat in this other way. And
Right.
just like and I decided to use all the manifestation tools that I learned from my spiritual teacher, that on law of attraction in a sense. And I said, you know what, this is my biggest dream ever. I'm going to throw all into this. So I just went all in with a plan, and I did my visualizations every night of how it would feel to surf these huge waves, everything. Like I would visualize the wind, everything that was happening, the sound. And yeah, I just threw everything. I did my treasure maps, everything, not everything, but let's say 90% really manifested. And like I wanted to be sponsored by Patagonia, that is like one of the best clothing companies in the world, and they sponsor some big wave surfers. And
Wow.
it's like a top company, like saying like Nike or whatever.
Yeah.
And I've been 3 years chasing them around until they sponsor me, like chasing them,
Ah.
giving them my portfolio, that it would get better every year, because every year I would become a better big wave surfer. But I remember the key, what really helped me to manifest this, was that I decided to become before I was paid. So I really took it as I'm a professional, and not like when they come and pay me, I'm gonna do all this training and diet and no beer, never a beer, never a night out, all the things, so I could be like on point, almost like an Olympic athlete. You have to be so strong and fit to be in those waves without
Wow.
drowning. So I think that was the key to, I really became a professional, full on, top to bottom, before nobody ever gave me a cent.
I
And
love
that's
that. Love that. That is gold. And that's gold advice for anybody out there listening to this, because you had a dream and you weren't just waiting for it to arrive. You were like, I need to become what that person would be doing. And then it came to you. Like, I
Yeah.
love that. And like in that time, were you dating? Because I do want to touch on your love life, because that's super important. And I know that the women want to hear about it. During that time, were you dating or were you totally single?
Well, actually, when in that time I was married, so I've been married 10 years in Hawaii, and it was a nice relationship, but more like it became throughout the years more like a roommate kind of friendship relationship. So we ended up divorced after a bunch of things happened, which the main one was, let's fast forward 7 years. I was full on in my big wave surfing career. Every time surfing bigger waves, meaning I was more exposed to danger and always like out of the house, like flying, chasing storms around the world, So we could see on a map, like, oh, in 3 days, it's going to be really good in Tahiti. Okay, go on. So my life was back and forth. And then basically, I suffered from a concussion, a traumatic brain injury, surfing huge waves. And well, after that, it's like everything collapsed in my life, including we got divorced 3 months after my brain injury, which in a way for me felt like cruel, like it was too much for me. But the relationship was done for so long, and there was no way we either had the courage. We did not have the courage to leave the relationship, and I feel like something this big just made everything bubble up. And basically, there was a whole background where he would beg me to not surf these waves anymore because I was getting out of control every time, more dangerous, more to prove. A lot of like now I see it back like you know. Father wound or slash daddy issues like recognition like
Yes,
you gotta
yes.
have the success in the world. So it was like out of control because none of my past or anything was healed, not just the last relationship, but my childhood, anything. I was just acting on an unhealed life and a lot of trauma and, in a way, emotional abandonment as I grew up. So I wanted to be recognized. And there was a lot of also pulling me that I wanted this ex to see me all over the magazines. And that was like running strong unconsciously, but it was there for years and it was just crazy. So this relationship with my husband at the time ended because he literally begged me a bunch of times, like, don't go to this spot. It's just going to be too big, too dangerous. And I would go and almost drown. And a week later, I come back with a TBI. And he was like, I can't do this anymore,
Yeah.
But it wasn't like because he got the concussion. It was just like, it just exploded. Everything exploded. And then
Right, right.
I feel like I was like 6 years single after my marriage, which led after the brain injury. I went to Texas to do treatments, and I ended up living there. I could not surf anymore, which was devastating for me because that was my whole identity,
Mhm.
and that's where a whole new journey started, where I had to really learn to heal myself, heal my past, my trauma, and to be in a healthy relationship with myself, full on.
Yeah. Yeah. And let me ask you about
Taking a
that,
long
because
time.
that, what happened to you after investing so much of your effort, energy into your dream of being a big wave surfer, and just from one moment to the next, slipping, like taken away from you from that accident? Um, and you were you like angry after that, kind of like that anger? Yeah. And so you're,
Absolutely, for years, and I was angry, and then that became a severe depression.
oh wow,
Uh,
yeah. And so when you
yeah,
say you went for treatment, the treatment for the traumatic brain injury, or
yeah.
also like a spiritual healing, inner work also?
That's funny because I did not go for that, but I got that second part. I got, actually my spiritual teachers that I'm in a meditation path since I was in Hawaii. They live in Austin, Texas, and it was funny because I ended up living like every few years I would end up moving closer to their house. Like it was like, okay, God brought me, and that's
Yeah.
where I found a lot of my healing. Um, But yeah, I feel like I forgot the question.
No, it's okay.
And the treatment. And yeah, that time I've been like years doing medical
Well,
treatments to get
no, and
better.
also like something that I feel like I always try to deliver this message, and I feel like your story is like the epitome of exactly this, is where so many things can happen to us, and we're like the victim of our life, like what happened, and it feels like you chose or maybe somehow realized, okay, how did this happen for me versus how did it happen? Why did this happen to me? Like, how did that tell me if
Well,
that
I
ever
want to
happened?
tell you, I want to be super honest because
Yes.
I went through a severe depression that I was suicidal, and that had to do a lot. Well, I had complex PTSD from the whole.
You say, I'm
Okay,
sorry, you were suicidal, you said.
yeah.
Yeah, no, sorry, because it
So
broke up a little bit.
oh yes, depression and complex PTSD. The complex PTSD came from almost dying with a brain injury a week before, I almost drowned in bigger waves. Plus, like getting divorced, losing your house, losing your dog, losing your. I was also an abundance coach at the time, helping women manifest their dreams. That was gone because I was so depressed. I couldn't do it. I couldn't fake it, and everything was stripped off, everything financially, health wise. So that, I went into complex PTSD. It's like trauma. Everything that is your life is absolutely gone. You're not even close to the ocean. And I was very depressed, because my brain chemistry was messed up because of the way my brain got hit. So the serotonin wasn't working right. My amygdala moved out of place. So as much as I tried to be positive, it was dark because the brain wasn't functioning well.
Wow.
So what happened, to be in all honesty, I at the time, no, I wasn't like, oh, yes, I'm gonna make the best out of this, or why did this happen? Now I see this was meant to be for something good. At the time, it was like life or death. It was. I got to a point with the years that I was going down, down, down into depression, and I literally got to a point that it was like, I'm gonna kill myself, and that's where I got help from my spiritual teacher, and it was a critical like day. It was a day where it was gonna happen, and he told me, you go get right now your antidepressant, that you call your doctor right now. I need you to take your antidepressant. And it's incredible what brain chemistry does, because it was like the next day I was different in my chemistry. And then I have to do, it was like that day I have to make a decision, like, okay, I want to leave. Like, you got to make the decision.
Wow. You
Yeah.
know, when you were saying this, I got chills, like goosebumps, like all over hearing that from like this one day that you remember, and how
Yeah.
it is so significant too, how your spiritual teacher came in and was this light in your life, thank God, and you listen too. You know, sometimes
Yeah, and I'm glad because, coming from my spiritual teacher, I would think, like, I would call him in a crisis and he would say, go meditate and go pray or whatever. He's like, no, go to a pharmacy like right now, get your
yeah.
antidepressant.
Yeah, exactly.
I
Yay.
love that because sometimes,
Medication.
yeah, we ask God or our higher power for help, and we think the help has to be in a certain way, and it's like, here is the help. Here, like, that was a big help for me.
This is so powerful too, because anyone out there listening, maybe struggling with depression and things like that, you know, it's so true what you're saying. It's like a balance of and listening and saying, wait a second, I've tried all these things and it hasn't been working. I still don't feel like yourself, or you're not happy, you're not, so I love that message, Mercedes. I appreciate you so much for saying this and doing all this. I know that, like, I don't want to take up too much of your time, and I know your story is a big one, and I want to
No,
make sure that
we can
everybody.
talk a little bit more. Let me just
No,
get water.
I do want to say to everybody that please follow Mercedes. I'm going to put her links below. She is just amazing. Mercedes Maidana, you'll find her, and also you'll find her podcast, Imperfect and Abundant. And she also has a coaching program as an abundance coach. And you have that program, which is amazing, called Rich Mermaids. You guys have to check it out. She works with women, empowers them to have a rich life, to be abundant. It's amazing. So you guys follow her, Mercedes Maidana, and check it out. I'll also drop a link to the program below. And she's just amazing. You're a beautiful soul. I'm going to be in Texas now for Thanksgiving. I'm serious. I'm
Okay.
gonna be in Houston. I need to find out where
Uh,
you are. Maybe we can meet up because you're in Corpus Christi, right?
we're a little far, but if you want to come over, I take you to the beach.
I want to ask you about your story about how you met your husband and your person. That is gold, and I feel like everyone's gonna be really inspired by it. If you don't mind
Yeah.
sharing.
So I was in Austin, and after those breakthroughs, like, okay, I want to live. The next phrase that came to me was, and I want to live a beautiful life, not just live and survive, angry and bitter and
Mm.
resented. So that took me in a journey of, okay, let's make this the best life I can. Living here, I'm not in the ocean. I'm not where I want to be. I'm single, and I'm living with roommates. I'm working as a waitress. I mean, everything is not the way I would like it, but it was a beautiful time because I really put a lot of time on. I was actually going to some um, trauma recovery groups and learning about my past and how I could heal it, and just love myself with all my aspects. And in that, I started to make new friends. And I don't know, I just started to enjoy life in the simple things, like in feeling better, in eating well, in going for walks under the sun around the lake, and doing the next best thing that was available. Like, okay, I'm not at the beach surfing, but I can walk around the water here in this lake, and that calms me down, or I can stand up paddle. Or and I remember, for example, like I would take myself on dates. Like I would buy something really nice to eat for lunch and go to the best view, a park in Austin, to a park, and eat my lunch like on my cute little date. And I just started to get into a frequency of being very happy with myself. And actually, back to my same spiritual teacher, um, one day I was in a class in Austin, and it was a Sunday, and we do Q&A after there's two teachers, after they share. And I raised my hand and I said, okay, this time I don't have anything to ask, but I want to share that I never felt more fulfilled and content in my life, and I have everything I ever wanted. And this was me, single waitress at age 38, living with roommates. Okay.
I love
So
it.
nothing was ideal, but I was feeling so happy. Next day, Monday morning, I was at the restaurant where I was working, and on a random shift that they gave me on a Monday morning. And my now husband walked in the next day after I claimed I'm so fulfilled. I love my life. I don't need anything else. I'm completely full. The next day he showed up.
I am
And
chills. I have chills. And
I know.
this is the gold. And I'm so like, this is part of what I'm all about. And I love this about your story is that it's so important to be self-fulfilled before finding someone. And it's not about, let me find someone to complete me. It's about,
No.
I am so fulfilled on my own. And you don't need anybody. You have that energy of you're so happy and fulfilled. I love this
I
story,
want to tell you
Mercedes.
something, Jackie. Maybe it helps some women listening from your crew, from your community. That I actually did not. I mean, I'm not telling people don't go do this because it was extreme, but I didn't date anyone for three. Actually, it was 3 years straight, but nothing. Not even flirting on a chat, flirting on Messenger, or like a next guy that shows up, and nothing. I was like, I gotta heal myself, and I had some certain parameters until I don't get to this and this point, I'm not ready to date anyone. And then when my husband showed up, it was a beautiful journey also of like 3 months before we became intimate. Like
Good.
I was ready to do everything completely opposite to what I've done in the past, you know?
Yeah.
So
I-
knowing him, going on dates outside the apartment, like, so nothing will happen, like just
Yes.
knowing the person,
No, I love this because I used to lead with my physical, with the physical. I used to be like, I have sex and do whatever, keep the guy around, and it never worked. The biggest game changer was taking sex out of the equation and being all about the emotional
Mm,
connection. And that's what it sounds like you did
yeah,
with your person. Oh my gosh, I love the story. And this
I
message
know.
needs to land for the women that are listening. It's about taking your time, going slow. Your person will wait. Your person will not run away.
Oh
And I
yeah.
love that he respected that with your decision.
He,
Yeah.
he was amazing. There were times that I told him, like, this is the plan. I need to know you, like, until this date, we cannot even think about this and that. He's like, okay, because I explained to him, I come from a lot of trauma. I keep repeating the same patterns and I get the same result and I need to do something different. And he's like, okay, what if that's what you need, we'll do it. And there were times that I wanted to break my own plan. I like, forget
Yes.
it. And he was like, no, no, that's gonna hurt you. And
Yeah.
I would be like I would get like mad with him for not for holding the boundary, you know. And
Wow.
now I look back at like, oh my God, what a strong man, what a beautiful man, you know.
So now you are, how long have you been together with him?
I think like I'm so bad at dates, or 4 years probably. I don't
And
know.
you have a little one, a little baby,
Yeah,
right? Or
we have
how
an
old is he?
18-month baby. That is also a miracle. I want to tell also women listening. So when I met Leo, I was almost 39, and I was gonna go slow. So it's not like, hey, let's procreate. I found you, you know. So like I'm getting old. I better just do it now.
Yeah.
And like we waited a full year before we even started trying because things need to be my mental health need to be in order. Just to give you a reality, it wasn't like, oh, and now I met him and I was perfectly fine. I still have a brain injury, I still have PTSD, so it's all about managing it, but I was still having like ups and downs and breakdowns, and my mental health was not like, oh, everything's calm. Everything was great until I would have a breakdown. So he was really supportive in helping me until I got better. Again, different medication, different approaches, different tools that I have to do, not just medication, all kinds of things, nutrition, all the things. So there was no way I could have pregnancy with that state. Like I didn't, I couldn't, and he knew it was not time. So everything had a time, and we, after a year together, that I, another medication and other tools, like I switched therapist, and suddenly, boom, I got myself like up. Now I can do life and good. Like, even though before, when I told you I was fulfilled and still with PTSD and a TBI and breakdowns. Still, but it's
Yeah.
okay. Just so you know, it's not like the happy ever after perfect. It's still life
Yes.
with all the layers. So anyway, so we ended up being able to get pregnant, and I was giving birth like a month before I turned 41. And it's just a miracle because that wasn't on the cards for me. Like in my 30s, I was surviving, healing, and that was not even on the cards. And right at the end of my 30s, it happened. So
Did you kind of put the whole kid thing aside and kind of say, well, I'm happy, like I found my person, that's great, and like not even think about the
yeah,
kid thing? Okay.
yeah, it was a nice, cute little fantasy desire, but not life or death.
Mhm.
And I always felt like, okay, if I find my person and it's too late, we can adopt. Like,
Yeah.
being a parent is more than just birthing a baby, I feel.
Yeah.
So in a sense, I was not desperate because I had that as a
I
option.
love, I love, love this message. There's a lot of women in their late 30s and their 40s that want to be a mom, and they're waiting for their person, and they're stuck in patterns, in, really bad toxic relationships, or relationships that don't last. And I'm so much about empowering women. Like, don't give up. Like, one of the best things I've ever done in my life is to be a mom. And I don't think that everyone needs to be a mom, but if it's something you've always wanted to do, don't give up on that. That being said, I feel like it's so important to take your love life into your own hands. And I feel like that's what you did. You were very intentional. And I think that, like, so many things that I keep seeing is that women are kind of going with the flow of what happens. And, oh, he likes me, let me just date him. Oh, he likes, like, okay, I guess I'm just now with this guy, and now I'm in a different
Yeah.
situationship. And so I love that you were like, okay, I'm doing the healing for myself. I'm going to take time out.
And,
I love that.
and I want to tell you, before I said I'm not going to date anyone until I'm healed, I'm going to give myself some time. Right before, I was dating like a few guys in a few months, but mostly one person that I was like obsessed with, and he was the most handsome person ever. And this Adonis of a man that every woman wanted to be with him, and he had nothing for me emotionally. nothing, like, in any level. Like there was nothing there for me. He was spread between a whole lot of women, and that was like the breakdown and breakthrough. Like after trying and forcing and manipulating, no, this is not working, and I want how. I let him go, and I'm like, okay, I gotta go and be single. But I want to share this. Like, it was not easy. Like, I mean, I was sexually attracted to this person, and he would keep calling me. And for me to say no, I'm eventually telling him, I cannot do communication. I'm gonna block him. He would show up on an email, block him. On another whatever social media, block him, because I cannot deal with that. So I'm trying to say it's not that it was easy, and sometimes you gotta say no to what is toxic, and it comes with pain. It's very uncomfortable because you gotta break a pattern. It's easier to go to your comfort zone, even if it's destructive, but it's what you know, it's what you think where you have
Exactly.
control. You feel like you have control over that, but you don't. You don't have any control. So just to avoid, and for me, it comes like, how much suffering are you willing to have? Like eventually, like it's too much suffering. Like hopefully you don't get to that point, and you value yourself enough before you get to that point of being totally broken because somebody's not giving you the love that you deserve, and letting go and being willing to go through that journey of saying no to what's toxic, almost as an addiction, or same as an addiction. Like an alcoholic needs to stop drinking, you know. So if you want to have something better, you need to stop going to that toxic person over and over again.
Yep, I love this message, Mercedes, because I know for a fact there's a lot of women that need to hear this message loud and clear. And I think that so many times they're scared. And, you know, it's a whole scarcity mindset. Oh my gosh, like there's nothing out there for me. It's so hard. Dating is so hard. And so they just cling on sometimes to whatever comes their way, even if it's, you know, at their expense, at their own, it takes away from their value, you know, their own self-worth. They are treated poorly. And so there's so many layers. And I love that you acknowledged and you said that you've had so many experiences as a child. And it's so important to have that self-reflection, take that time out and be like, I need to heal. I need to understand this. Why am I attracted to these people? Why do I keep chasing the toxicity? And I know this piece, I used to chase it too. When I met my husband, I'm like, babe, oh my God, I'm so happy I met you when I met you. Because if I met him years ago, I would have like not appreciated him. I would have, I like the bad guys, the awful guys.
Yes. Or he would have just passed you by and you would have been like boring.
But he was a Boy Scout until he was 18. I'm like, loser. I'm like, what? And now I think it's like the cutest thing ever. I'm like, oh my God, he's adorable. I know. Mercedes, I appreciate you so much. Your story is so inspiring. I absolutely love it. You and me are so aligned. I love that our stories, I just feel like your story, I know women are going to be inspired. They're going to be moved. I think they're going to be blocking people because of you.
block and empower yourself.
I'm all about blocking. I've been on the calls with my clients. I'm like, you're getting your phone. We're blocking them now because it is hard for them to do it. It's crazy.
And the fear of, oh, they're gonna think about it. Yeah.
Well,
they can think whatever they want. I don't care. You come first.
You come first. Make yourself a priority. I absolutely love Mercedes. Thank you so much. For everybody, make sure you follow her, Mercedes Maidana. That's her Instagram. And I absolutely love you. Thank you so much, Mercedes, for being here. I know we're gonna do this again down the road, and maybe even in Texas.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Jackie.
Thank you, Mercedes. Bye.
Bye.